So since the first 10 episodes of Season 7 have passed, and now DBX is here for another month and a half or so, let's go talk about these first 10 episodes. Not ranked, but more of me discussing each episode in chronological order and having a tiny ranking bar at the end, not the bottom corner, just like Nimbus Blood Strikes. That's because you know I'm so fucking unoriginal. I'm most likely going to have him edit this because I'm a lazy fuck. As I was saying, I'm just gonna judge these episodes by their entertainment value and not outcome one, since I grew numb to the feeling of outcomes making me hate an episode. Just wait until they bring back Bomberman and that's gonna reignite something in me. Miles vs. Static. No lie, this fight was actually caught my eye when it was first announced, and given it's a Marvel vs. DC fight, that's something of an accomplishment nowadays. The animation just looked amazing. It was very fluid. Except for that one dab Miles did I did not know about until someone showed me, which makes the episode an absolute bad one, objectively. That's how that works. But oh seriously, this was good. Above average episode, I didn't really have an issue with the outcome, the explanation at the end. To my knowledge was pretty strong and the banter between the two characters were good. I think the thing that sold it for me mainly was the score. Being made by JT Machinima Old Music, who I followed ever since I had YouTube nearly 6 years ago. Yeah, What's Up Danger is one of my favorite scores of the season. It might not be as good as Mighty or Infection Perfection, but still a good way to start the season. Black Canary vs. Sindel. Look at that! Another DC fight! 2 in a row! Hopefully that will be a trend this season! And this one is completely opposite of Static vs. Miles! This battle was just a fucking snore's fest! Nothing really happened or was memorable besides Sindel's weird-ass hell sprite. Sorry, was it just me or did the hair look like they just ripped it off of Felicia from Darkstalkers or put it in another model? I mean, was it just me? It had to be just me. Anything else to say about this episode? Well, the death was cool. The ending line was good. Also, Shao Kahn being our boy like he is, bringing back the fight sound effect for one episode. The sad thing is, it was this one. Leonardo vs. Red Ranger. You know, no lie, I just had a lot of fun rewatching this episode a couple times while making this review. A lot more than I should have, considering right before it was the most boring fight they have done since Black Widow vs. Widowmaker. But Leonardo vs. Jason was one of the biggest highlights of this season in my opinion. The choreography was amazing, the use of their weapons and all abilities was good, even though Leonardo's Odachi isn't a normal weapon he has and is the only in one canon, and Jason's Megazord wasn't even mentioned in this fight. Yes, I know they explained why he wasn't in the animation, but I'm just gonna bring it up, so fuck you. Characters were in character, even if Leo was acting a little bit more like Mikey, which I believe the reason is because they were going with the rise of the TMNT version personality. It's one of my major issues with that show is that how 3 of the turtles are the same, main 2 being Leonardo and Michelangelo. The music really warmed up to me after listening to it on its own, and the depth is pretty satisfying. Okay, I'm having high hopes. What's next? Marvel. At least it took 3 episodes before we got another. This episode was just there. It came, it left, no real impact to anyone from what I've seen, which sucks because Genos deserved better. To be honest, Genos had so many better opponents to go against, one being my personal favorite, Raiden from Metal Gear. But against War Machine, I know a few people were hyped for when this was announced, but I just thought it was okay. My main issue with this was the style of animation. Why? Why was this had to be done in hand-drawn animation? By the team that did Max vs. Deadpool and not the guy who did Afro vs. Jack? Afro vs. Jack was just... that's the hand-drawn animation right there, boy. But, like, if you compare this one to one of their first ever hand-drawn animations, which was, you know, Samurai Jack vs. Afro, you'll see a massive dip in quality, and it's not that pretty. The problem is mainly with Genos, who doesn't look too good in this style of animation. If you're wondering why I'm harping on the style they chose, you will see down the line why. Besides that, the depth was decent until it showed Genos self-destruct to nothing but mildly annoy War Machine, and Genos somehow survived. Then it had War Machine just smash Genos' head to bits, which I don't think he would do, at least not to someone who can't fight back and just a head. Maybe it was just me again, I don't know. Okay, let's hope next episode is good. Son of a bitch! Okay, stay with me for a moment, everyone. What if you took two highly trained and skilled cryomancers who are highly strategic and always adapting in mid-fight, but had them floundering around on the ground like they're morons for the entire duration of the fight? Yeah, that's what you get with Gray vs. Esdeath. Listen, I'm a huge Akame ga Kill fan. I've read the entire manga twice, and even used them on the show I run before. Even though it was against someone that can beat a decent chunk of the series on his own, but you know, I digress. Fairy Tail, I'm slowly growing to enjoy more and more. Urza still being my most loved character on the show. Now let's see how many interpret that as me being biased and say versus Urza. But this episode was just a major kick in the balls for a fan of either. Like, the voice acting was cringe and almost laughable in an ironic and unironic way based on who you ask. Praise was met while Esdeath was so cringe I wanted to curl up in a corner and cry for the rest of the day. The animation was stiff, mainly when you see Gray make that ice sword and slash at Esdeath cutting off her arm. It was so fucking stiff! And the death was so... what the fuck? So did Gray freeze himself, or was it Esdeath? I don't think she was able to do that if so. So that throw had no impact. Like, come on, man. You could have done something, right? No lie, only two things I liked in this episode. One being Lost Ice Stone, which was okay. Didn't have enough music rep for Fairy Tail's side, or even Akame ga Kill. If you want a comparison, listen to Fairy Tail's Fate, which is our track for Urza vs. Saber to compare for Fairy Tail. And then check out our Akame vs. Kenshiro one to compare, and check the channel more since I'm a shameless fuck who needs those views. And the belching as the green cat I meme on for eternity. I don't really mean shit, but that thing just kills me every time I see it. Goro vs. Machamp was a major breath of fresh air. Like, no lie, I love this episode. It's most likely because I'm a Machamp fanboy. Machamps are always my favorite Pokemon, and seeing them come to death battle made me so fucking happy. I mean, it was an obvious W when fighting Goro, and anyone could beat him now. The animation was just a blast to watch again, and comedy was good. Such as with Goro getting annoyed by Machamp saying, "Oh, Machamp." The death was very good reference to Pokken, and speaking of it, this model of Machamp from what I heard is custom, but so good that it matched Pokken Tournament's version. The score was just okay, which is my main gripe, and also Goro's model is a major issue. It's an eyesore to a lot of people, not to me personally, but I know it's bothersome and that's fine. I'm just objectively wrong and stupid. Nemesis, why is this in the fucking script again, boy? Come on! Anyway, it doesn't really make the episode worse for me, and I still say it's a major highlight for the season. Wow, didn't have much to say about this one. Well, let's get to the next one while I do the cutoff. Now, if you take a look on your left, we got one of the most uninspired matchup ideas of the season so far. And if you look on the right, you see me eternally screaming in my domain, seeing another fucking Marvel vs. DC matchup. Sorry, can I just go on a little tangent? I think we all know Marvel and DC has been appearing far more lately in the last few seasons, and it didn't bother me at first, but now, the show has made me numb to any of these matchups with either franchise because of how many times they have been used. I know people say, "Oh, I don't think it matters if it's a popular series and people like it," which I don't think is a good thing. I would be singing the same tune if it was like Dragon Ball or Naruto or Bleach that was appearing this much. It's not a good thing for a versus show like this to be. Variety is a major factor that makes shows like this more fun to watch, and seeing the same two series over and over and over and over and over again just tires me out. Like, if I did this with this guy or Plants vs. Zombies on my show, I'm sure people would be complaining, and I wouldn't fucking blame them. I hate the oversaturation of Marvel and DC on Death Battle, and it makes me appreciate other shows that try to use less known series or talked about in verses. Like 1 Minute Melee does this a lot with niche theories, and I applaud them for it. Even though next season has me worried about making me eat my own words. But seriously, if the second half of Season 7 is like the first, I'm gonna jump into the fire pits on my own hill and never come out of them. Okay? I think that's out of the way. Now to talk about this dumb, uninspired, fucking Marvel vs. DC fight. It's okay. It didn't do a lot, but what it did do was good. The dialogue between the two was gold. Huh? And the time traveling was so much better than another certain episode. Uso had his own funny lines, like the funny haha, I can do that too line, and the death, oh dear god, the death. That was one of the most brutal ones I've seen in the show for a long time. Might not be as gruesome as some, but the idea of it is just, ugh. I love it! And to be honest, this was better than the last Marvel and DC fights we saw this season. Obi-Wan vs. Kakashi came out at the right time, really. And not just because it came out on the May 4th and kind of told you what the outcome was going to be with how modern Death Battle runs now. But here was a pretty badass episode. And a lot of it worked, and to be fair, this episode wasn't as janky or stiff as Dracula vs. Canary, which also made by the same SFM team, so that's a plus to show that they're improving. The only major problem I have is the setup of it showing no reason for Obi-Wan to be this hostile to Kakashi when they first met, or to be near the village at all. It just makes Obi-Wan look more like a douchebag to try to get out of there for trespassing on Kakashi's home territory. But besides that, the references in this episode are amazing. The high ground meme was good, and adding on the 1,000 years of death and Kakashi saying it back to Obi-Wan was amazing. The Genjutsu scene with Obi-Wan seeing Vader was just splendid, and all the in-betweens and banter between them was really good. The death, though, however, yeah, that death had no build-up. When they did this with Jack vs. Afro, it was much better, or to a lesser extent, Ryu vs. Strider, which I'm only bringing up because the editor of the script brought it up before, and if I don't bring it up, I'm sure he's going to do something stupid while editing the video. Or he's doing it right now. I don't fucking know, the death was just weak. And that's why how Obi-Wan vs. Kakashi should have been... Wait a minute, I didn't write that part of the script. Hey, remember in Genos vs. War Machine I said I would tell you why I had a problem with the style they went with? Well, here's why. Why wasn't Danny vs. Jake Longhand drawn? Especially since these two fit the style so much more than Genos vs. War Machine. Like, why weren't these two switched around? Maybe it's one of Versus' greatest mysteries. Like, when is Galactus vs. Unicron finally gonna happen? Danny vs. Jake is so run-of-the-mill. Which is sad because this fight is a classic suggestion that people have been wanting for years since the show started. This is only better than Sindel vs. Canary because it didn't put me to fucking sleep. Like in this episode, at least we had a 4v4, the most glorious 3-ray Danny dab I sent to Nemesis and asked him if this was his god since I know he loves the dabs. I am a dumb... Oh. Well, I guess I deserve that. And also that death was amazing, especially the ghost scene, even though Danny didn't use the whale to do it. Like, he did it once and all he did was push Jake back. It did not show any real damage. But the ghost beam? Yeah, that killed the dude. Well then. I want to die. More this. Why can't you leave me alone? Is this my hell? Why is it Wonder Woman again? I don't know, and I really just want to have a break from them. And Chie vs. Wonder Woman was bad. Like, I can't find much to say positive. Like, all I can say is what Nemesis said, because he is the best human on Earth. Scenery is good. The 14-second sword scene was good. Wonder Woman looked okay. Everything else is awful doo-doo state. Chie looked like a bad polygonal Barbie model from an early PS1 game. But I did nothing to show their strength here. Like, when He-Man showed his strength better than you 7 years ago on the same show, you know you might need to step up your game here. Like, really, you can't tell this was supposed to be a Shiva vs. Wonder Woman fight. Like, to be honest, if this was like, I don't fucking know, Kenshin Amora vs. Samurai Jack, this would make it a slightly better fight. Since those two would be doing this more often and not trying to say, this is the Princess of Power, by just lifting a non-out-of-version pillar like it's nothing. Shiva, you kicked the moon. Show that level of strength. And Wonder Woman, what the fuck happened to you since the Thor fight? You took a fucking moon explosion to the face when you can't handle a few sword strikes before turning to instant win mode? Like, was this supposed to be a fight between these two? It doesn't fucking feel that way. And finally the death. It's just bad. So go watch Ursa vs. Zoro. And you get a better version of all of this. This is a better sword fight. Okay. That was the first 10 episodes of Death Battle Season 7. It was a ride. A lot of high points, a few middles, and a lot of lows. I think you all know my major issue with the season right now is the overabundance of Marvel vs. DC fights. Which I hope the second half will be so full when we get to it. Bears, I'm excited to see on Death Battle, and these 3 months I hope go by fast, so we can see everyone's favorite god of destruction fight on the show. And if you want my guesses on the last two fighters that were teased, Spears vs. Hades from Saint Seiya or Alexander from Makai Kini because they need fucking diversity this season. And for Crota, I'm Team Filio from Skullgirls vs. Crota. Okay, see ya. Now for me to think about what I'm doing with my life. Go check out Nemesis, the guy I keep references. He helps a lot on this channel. Hopefully he's not gonna fuck with this part of the script like a dick.